In this video, we're going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that I see people make when buying a new property for their home or homestead. Number 1, I find so often that people do not take the time to actually get a goal statement together. And so if you don't go into buying a big property or a big purchase without understanding what your goals and expectations, dreams and aspirations are, how are you ever going to buy the right piece of property? I wrote a blog a number of years ago, which I'll link to in the show notes below, called Buying the Right Piece of Property and Avoiding the Tears. You'd be amazed at how often people hire me after they've purchased the property only to recognize that they bought the wrong one, which is why I called it Avoiding the Tears. So I think it's super important that you take time to figure out what your goals, dreams and aspirations are. There's really only 2 ways to go about this. Either you buy a property and you build your goals, dreams and aspirations around the property and constrain it, or you set those goals up right from the beginning and you make sure that you translate those goals into something that can actually be used to make sure that you buy the right piece of land. See, humans are really good at buying bottles of milk at the store and comparing brands and making sure that it's, organic or hormone free, or maybe they don't care about any of those things and they just buy the cheapest thing on the shelf. We're good at making $5 decisions. We're not really good at making $500,000 or $1 million decisions. And so having a proper goal set is going to make sure that you get that decision right from the beginning, or at least stack the chances that you'll get it right the first time. So once you've got a goal statement, the next thing that I find people don't do is constrain the problem. And so we do this for all of our clients, whether they own the property or not. Creating a good set of constraints is going to make sure that we say no more often, essentially. And so we can think about constraining in terms of Venn diagrams, and every property, every individual, every goal set is going to come with its own set of constraints. But constraining is probably one of the tools that I use most often to help me make decisions and to also help my clients make decisions. And so we can think of constraints as Venn diagrams. And we're essentially creating bubbles around all the different areas that require constraints. So one of them might be land use bylaw. So what are you actually allowed and not allowed to do within your specific county or state that will limit the types of activities that you can do on that property? Another one is going to be agroecology. So what can the land do? What is it designed to do? What does it really want to be? Knowing what the agroecology of a property wants to be can easily be aligned with what your goals, dreams, and aspirations are. Another constraint can be your budget. So how much money do you have to spend? How much debt do you want to go into? How much money are you willing to throw at the property based on the infrastructure that it has already? And is the infrastructure in good shape? So we want to try and figure out what all those constraints look like, so that when we are comparing other properties, once we've got a list of constraints that we're trying to constrain against, again, we can say no to more of the properties, and hopefully there'll only be 1 or 2 at the end of our search that will actually make sense for us. So a lot of people don't spend enough time figuring out what those constraints actually are. And lastly, this is one that I see really often, is that people will buy houses based on lipstick. I mean, how many reality TV shows are on television right now entirely based around putting lipstick onto pigs, essentially? So dressing up old houses that really should probably be torn down with all sorts of aesthetically pleasing colors or siding or wood floors or lighting in order to get people to buy it. Don't just buy a property based on the lipstick on the house. Make sure you're doing proper house inspections and recognize that houses can be changed. You can improve them, you can renovate them. All of that stuff is fairly easy to do as long as you've got the budget to do it. But don't just go and buy a house because it's got a clawfoot tub or some beautiful aesthetic feature that you really, really want in a house. Make sure that you look at the larger structural aspects of that property and home before you go and make that purchase. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully that gave you some clues on how to go about purchasing a home or acreage or farm. Make sure you subscribe below and leave any comments that you have below.